Hi everyone, James here. In this video I wanted to talk to you about the concept of extinction in your dog training. And this is something you may hear the trainers talk about in class, and it's a commonly used term within the professional dog training world, but I just wanted to explain it to you a little bit and what it means in terms of the behaviours that your dog is giving. Okay, so extinction is where we're trying to get rid of a behaviour that was previously reinforced. Okay, so if you think about the definition of that, you may have been inadvertently, ever since your dog was little, reinforcing a behaviour somehow. Like for example, every time your dog jumps up at you, you've been giving them a nice pat on the head or something like that. Okay, as they've got bigger and bigger, you've just suddenly decided you don't want that to happen anymore. The only way to address that challenge now is through extinction of that behaviour. What you're going to do is make sure that every time the dog does that, there is zero reinforcement of that behaviour from this point onwards. And then over time, your dog will gradually stop trying the behaviour because it's non-rewarding, and at some point that behaviour will become extinct. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about your dog's psychology and animal psychology more generally, and to talk about this, I'll use an example of an experiment in the 50s, which was done with rats. Okay, now it's not a very nice experiment, but yeah, that's how things rolled back in the day. What they did was they took some rats and they put them in water, okay? And they wanted a time to see how long it would take before the rats drowned, all right, before they gave up of treading water and drowned. Now, on average, the first time they did the experiment, it took 15 seconds for the dogs to give up, for the rats, not dogs, rats, to give up, okay? Just before they died, so just before they went under the water, they were pulled out of the water, they were dried off, they were fed, and then they were put back in the water again. Now remember, they lasted for 15 minutes in the first round of this. Imagine how long they lasted in the second round. 60 hours, okay? What that means is that once they were given hope that salvation was coming, they were able to push through for much longer, waiting for that event to happen. Now, this applies exactly to your dogs and the concept of extinction of wrong behaviours, all right? This is why we always say to you in training, you need to be 100% consistent when training your dog, to make sure you don't reward a behaviour. 100% consistent, because if you let them get away with it once, they'll simply go, if I try harder, longer, it'll work out for me, exactly like the rats. Okay, so this applies when your dog's jumping up. This applies when your dog's pulling on the lead, as we've taught you in the loose lead heeling and walking classes. Ultimately, what you've got to do is be 100% consistent. That behaviour has to never reward your dog from this point onwards. Okay, if you can do that, if you can be absolutely 100% consistent, and everyone your dog interacts with 100% consistent that behaviour never works, it will eventually go extinct in your dog. And that's what we're aiming for when we're trying to address these unwanted or undesirable or unsafe for your dog behaviours. Now, one caveat to this as well, there's something called an extinction burst which exists in some dogs, okay? What that means is that you may experience a bit of a crescendo. So you may have done sort of 3-4 weeks of not letting your dog pull on the lead or something like that, and you think you're getting somewhere, your dog's gradually getting better and better and better. And then you may find for a few days or a week or something, your dog is suddenly worse than they ever were. They've been pulling, tugging, desperately trying to, just really frenetically trying to pull on that lead to get to what they want to get to, okay? This is what's called an extinction burst, and it often precedes the extinction of the behaviour itself. It's where they're giving one last gasp attempt to get the thing that's worked for them previously, so the thing that's been rewarding for them previously, to actually work again. Okay, so you might experience that with your dog. Don't get disheartened if that happens. It is a perfectly normal, recognised, natural phenomenon. And if you push on through it, if you're, again, 100% consistent, 100% clear with your dog, you will result in the extinction of that behaviour over time. I hope that helps. And if there's any questions, please ask your trainers in class this week.